really interesting question for Jalen in the meeting earlier this morning that I think is worth diving into.
So whenever I look at this Lakers roster, you start to go, okay, well, who are the starters and where's the depth? And like, man, look at all this depth. But one of the things, and I've been really lucky over the years to talk to GMs, one of the first things a GM told me about building your team is that if you have more than 8, max 10 guys that think they're supposed to get minutes, you have a problem. And you have all these really nice young players in the Lakers, Jalen, that are expecting that second NBA contract. Because like when you're young, you just think you're awesome. And if you're not, it's just because you're in the wrong situation. And then you combine that with all these vets that are still thinking about their next deal. They're not old. They're just guys on one-year deals. It feels like the Lakers, like depth is kind of nice in theory, but if you have 12 or 13 players that all think they're supposed to get minutes around the LeBron thing, this is really challenging for Luke Walton.
I'm going to bring you back into the locker room. I'm going to tell you a dirty secret. All guys think they should play.
1 through 15?
All of them. I promise you. You could play with Michael Jordan. When he misses the game-winning shot, the 15th man gets in the car with his wife and said, they should have gave me the ball. That's how this works. You don't even make it to that level if you don't think you could play. And that's the psyche of an athlete that I call almost like irrational confidence, because I used to say that I had it. Irrational confidence. I'm sitting in the locker room. Michael Jordan ain't got nothing on me. Kobe Bryant ain't got nothing on me. Shaq, I'll dunk on him. That's just our irrational thinking. But to your point, actually, they have a lot of guys on this one roster who have irrational thinking. JaVale McGee, Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo, and Michael Beasley. You don't think when LeBron James makes a turnover, Beasley ain't gonna come back to the huddle like, they should run the play for me. So there is some validity to what you're saying, but the thing that's gonna make it work in this case is no player has established himself as the Scottie Pippen. See, that only matters when guys have established themselves as like a perennial all-star, or I've accomplished so much where I deserve to play. Rajon Rondo's gonna feel like that because he won a championship. And late in games, this is the first thing that's gonna happen. When Rondo or Ball aren't in the game, how they respond in the post when they don't win, and what happens when somebody sticks a microphone in LeVar Ball's face.
Well, so let's just put so let's put LeVar Ball to the side just for a second. I agree with you.
I don't know how many minutes he's in.
He brings up he brings in like a whole other set of problems. but you've got guys to Ryan's point, like if you're the Lakers, you want to spend this year developing Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma and probably Lonzo Ball to be the future around LeBron when you bring in another superstar. But Rajon Rondo and most of all Beasley and Steve, they're not interested in that. They're not interested in the development of those young guys. So if those young guys are in there in crunch time minutes instead of the veterans, then how does that work?
Let me tell you something. Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, Luke Walton, they'll walk to Lance Stevenson, they'll walk to Michael Beasley, and they already let them know, Kuzma, Ingram, they're getting the minutes. Y'all get in where y'all fit in.
Magic has said that to those guys.
No doubt, because they own one-year contracts, not 2-3-year contracts. So they still have to prove themselves. They come in this situation where the spotlight's on the Lakers and they have a bad attitude, that now stops them from getting their next deal. So they have to have good attitudes, plus they have to be productive.
It's interesting because to Ryan's point, it's one thing to say that they're not going to get their next deal because they're not going to have good attitudes. I get it. I think, Ryan, what you're trying to say is they also might not get the same kind of next deal if they're not getting a lot of minutes, so they're not putting up a lot of numbers, and that could be frustrating for them. It's a tough dynamic.
There's so many one-year deals, and you know, obviously the last couple months, me being out in LA and listening to all of the stuff, it's so matter of fact after it's happened. We're like, yeah, this is the plan. Oh, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. We're like, there's no way this is the plan. There's no way this was the plan. Okay, none. And to your point on the young guys, the only way this is competitive this year, if Brandon Ingram, not to say he's going to be Pippen, because that's ridiculous, but if he develops into somebody where we go, okay, this guy's going to be special. And that's still to be determined. I think that happened with Jason Tatum this year, where you watch Tatum with the Celtics and you go, okay, this Celtics seems really good, but like this might be the dude. And I'm not sure, as much as I like Kuzma, even like Hart, and I think there's arguments to be made about Lonzo Ball still being a pretty good player here. You know, I feel like he gets dumped on maybe unfairly, and then he had the injury. But if this is going to be a competitive team just in the West, I'm not talking about getting out of the West, but it has to be somebody like Ingram, because I don't think it's any of those other guys.
I agree with you, but LeBron James is still the best player in the game, so they'll be a 6 they'd be a 5 or 6 seed in the Western Conference, and they do need one of those players to take a quantum leap. Don't underestimate Kyle Kuzma. I think adding LeBron is going to actually unlock his game because he played a lot of combination 3, 4, that type of thing. LeBron is as well. So to have both of those guys out there, I think he's going to be able to feed off of them, and his game is going to get a lot better.
5 or 6 seed, I'll take the under. I will list 5 or 6 teams in the West I think will be ahead of them. Right off the top of my head, maybe it'll go better than I think, but I think if they finish in the 5 or 6 spot, LeBron James will have had an unbelievable year.
He's going to win MVP this year. Already book it. LeBron James is going to win the NBA MVP this year.
If they finish with the 5th seed in the West, he will be the MVP. I agree with that.
And it's really like, it's smart of you, Jalen, to get ahead of it that way, because I always think the MVP isn't about like, okay, give me the numbers. It's the storyline. It's always the storyline.
Correct.
Russ, a triple-double right after KD leaves, we love him. Gets a triple-double again, you're not even on the radar, dude. Harden got his, so now he's probably done forever. Curry's never going to win another one. Durant, I don't know if there's enough popularity there. Like LeBron, storyline-wise, he's at the lead of this whole thing.
Or Kawhi Leonard wins 60 games in Toronto.